I'm gonna need a drink for this one. It's an energy drink, but like, I still need it. Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Aylin, and today we are going to be talking about all of the books that I read in the month of April, including the worst book that I have read this year. So, I think I told you in my April reset that I was going to reach these 7 books. Didn't happen. We stopped at 6. Determined to break that curse in the month of May, because why can't I stop only reading 6 books in a month? I have no idea. But I'm determined to remedy that this month. That's neither here nor there. We're going to talk about the books that I read last month. Let's get started. We started out the month with a banger, and that was Finlay Donovan Rolls the Dice by Elle Cosimano. This is the 4th full-length novel in the Finlay Donovan series, but the 5th installment in the series, if that makes sense, because there is a novella between books 3 and 4. This feels so much better to me. I don't know why. Anyway, Finlay Donovan Rolls the Dice. I believe I gave this one like a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed book 3, but it wasn't like a solid 5, and it wasn't as good as the first 2 in my opinion. But with Finlay Donovan Rolls the Dice, we are back on track. It was phenomenal. This one has all the fun and hijinks that the first 2 did. I mean, all of the books have a bunch of fun and hijinks in them, but this one was just like, it gave me the same vibes as book 1, which obviously is great because I loved the first book. This is a cozy mystery series about a single mom who is also a romantic suspense author, and in the first book she is at a meeting with her agent, I believe, at a Panera, and someone overhears them talking about the plot of her current book, thinks she is a hit woman for hire, gives her money, slips it in her purse with a name, and says, "Go take care of this for me." Finlay's like, "Whoa, that's not my job, not even kinda, but you did give me a lot of money, so like maybe." But also she can't unalive anyone. She's a mom with 2 kids. Her and her nanny step in to kind of almost do the job, make it seem like the job is done without actually hurting anyone, collect the money, and then Finlay gets to use it as an inspiration for her agent and make even more money, which she desperately needs. Phenomenal. So much fun. It is Finlay and her nanny as like a dynamic duo throughout the entire series. Love it. Her kids, they add a great sense of comedic relief that honestly the book doesn't necessarily need, but we love an extra level of added comedy because who doesn't want to laugh? Couldn't be me. 4.5 out of 5 stars to this one. This one was so much fun. It takes place in, I think, like Atlantic City or something like that, which is again just hilarious. Like they're trying to gamble and they're the Hot Mess Express themselves, like trademark that. If you are looking for a place to start with cozy mysteries, would 100% recommend this because it has everything that a cozy mystery has. It's not your like typical cozy mystery, but it's a good way to see if like the vibe checks out for you. Then I read Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage. This is the 2nd book in the Rebel Blue Branch series. It is the sequel to Done and Dusted. The series takes place in Wyoming. It takes place on a ranch. It's a cowboy romance. This one is following Wes and Ava as they are designing the big house that was mentioned in the first book. Wes is very much like the middle child, very good brother. He doesn't act out too much. He cares a lot about both of his siblings, has a lot of emotions. There's also representation in this book for depression for men, which I really appreciate because obviously men are people too and have mental health issues, and he talks about them, talks about getting help for them, which I just found really admirable. And then Ava, who is a perfectionist, hasn't ever felt like she really belonged anywhere, and just like their romance, it starts out because they meet in a bar, have a little hookup, and then they realize that they have to work together because they had never seen each other in person prior to said hookup, and they are like finding their attraction for one another. My only thing with this series is that these books are very short, which makes them really good palate cleansers for me. However, we don't get like a ton of emotional depth or really that sense of payoff with all of the tension, because there was tension, but it just felt like it happened too quickly, which again, it's not a bad book. I gave it like a 3 star. It wasn't like my favorite romance. As I said with the first book in the series, I love like the familial relationships, the friendships. I loved the female friendships specifically in this one because Ava the entire time is doubting herself and her place amongst this group of girls that know each other so well, but they're really ready to accept her and like have her join them, which I thought was super sweet, and I was excited for Ava to experience those things. I did find it mildly annoying though, the amount that she was like, oh, these people don't genuinely like me, and it felt like we never really got over that. Like we didn't see any like development there. It was just kind of there and then never talked about by the end of the book, and I was like, Are we not gonna resolve that? No? All right. Cool. I would have liked that if we could have seen that, but I really did love with the third act conflict how understanding Wes was of Ava. He was such a cinnamon roll hero and so much fun to read about. So highly recommend this series. Like I said, it's a really good palette cleanser and I think fun for spring and summer. 3 stars to that one. Moving on. Then I was sick, but I was trying to challenge myself to read for an hour every single day, which is a video that you will see coming later this month. And I was also kind of in the middle of a reading slump, didn't fully know what I wanted to read, which is when I ended up picking up Listen for the Lie by inmyreadingera. This is a book that I got in my book of the month box for last month, I believe. March. I got it in my March box. We are following our main character Lucy, who moved away from her small town in Texas 5 years ago after she was rumored to have unalived her best friend. Everyone thought she did it. She just couldn't get convicted because of 2 things. They couldn't find the instrument that it was done with, and she couldn't remember. She had the amnesia alibi. I don't always love the amnesia alibi, but in this one I think it served itself really, really well. However, like I said, she didn't go back, but that all changes when someone is recording a podcast about her and everything that happened trying to solve this cold case. His name is Ben, and her grandma's 80th birthday is coming up. Her grandma calls her and she's like, hey, I want you to come down for my 80th birthday. Do you think you could get some time off of work? And she says, not a problem. They just fired me because this podcast is going so viral. Nobody wants to step a single foot in my direction. I'll be there. She is still pretty hesitant about going, but she loves her grandma. She's her favorite person, so she's like, how could I not go? And her grandma plays a little bit of like matchmaker in the background where she is orchestrating that Ben and Lucy talk because she fully believes and knows in her heart of hearts that Lucy did not do this, and she wants to catch the person that did so that Lucy can be exempt, but also the person who hurt Lucy's best friend all those years ago gets in trouble for what they did. However, Lucy holds some secrets of her own that she does not want to tell Ben throughout the story. Secrets between her and Savvy that she will take to the grave, and that really hinders their investigation together. And maybe he like at some point thinks that she did it. Maybe. I loved this one. It had short chapters, kept me really engaged, and there's mixed media in here because you get snippets from the podcast and everyone's like point of view of Lucy and everything that happened. This was so well done. I loved this one. Like I said, it kept me engaged. I gave this one like a 4 out of 5 stars, maybe a 5 out of 5 stars. I'm not really sure, but I thought this was a really fun thriller. It's pretty short, kept me engaged. It kept me awake while I was sick and trying to sleep. I can't really fault it for that because it was so good. I also had chills while reading it because I was scared. Then I don't remember exactly when this one happened. Somewhere in the past 3 books, I also finished The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I read this on Kindle Unlimited, so if you've been wanting to start this series, it is on there. This one, we are following Cassie, who is our main character. When she is working at her job in the diner one day, someone stops in and leaves her a card to call the FBI. She's very curious as to why the FBI wants her, but it is because a few years ago, her mom was assumed to be unalived, but it was a cold case. Cassie walked in on the scene, and since then she has had a very adept ability to profile people. Basically what that means is she can look at their behavior, environment, personality, and kind of put together a lot of information about them just by looking at them. And the FBI has a program where they take kids like Cassie, around Cassie's age, who have been through somewhat similar things and have very similar abilities, called the Naturals program, and they have them help them solve cold cases. They do end up working on an active case because of course they do, but this one was super interesting. It's basically like Criminal Minds but teenagers. Very fun. Another very quick read with short chapters, engaging. Jennifer Lynn Barnes books are all like that. If you haven't read the Inheritance games, I highly recommend. It's basically like Knives Out. So good. But I ended up giving this one a 4 out of 5 stars. It's definitely very YA, where like these kids are very clearly teenagers, but they're also supposed to be teenagers, so it's not something that I necessarily fault the book for. It just might not be like my perfect cup of tea. So I believe I gave it a 4 stars mainly for that reason. I really liked our cast of characters, really liked Cassie. I like being inside their brains and like seeing all of the FBI profiling stuff. I think that's really cool. After I read Listen for the Lie, I was definitely just like in a fantasy mood for whatever reason, don't ask me. And I finally finished Fourth Wing. I know, go ahead. Round of applause if you must. It's fine. I'll wait. Thank you. I finally finished it and I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Was not a perfect 5, but I definitely really enjoyed it. I like the magic in here. I like all of the characters. I am planning on doing a whole spoilery book review of this book so I can talk more in depth about the things that worked for me and the things that didn't. What I will say, the number one thing that I didn't super love was the pace of the romance. At first it was super slow burn and then everything happened all at once, which wasn't my personal favorite. It just felt like the pacing was off, but again, not bad, and I do really like Violet and said other person together. I think they're a great match. Don't like the other person that Violet likes at one point in this book. Hate him. He can lick my shoe. I will say, I have to accredit this for getting me back in my fantasy era, because since reading this, I just want to read all of the magic systems, all of the fantasy books. I want to be in other worlds, all of the escapism. Yes, please sign me up. The banter in this book was incredible. I loved the relationships between each of the characters. It just felt so real, and I think this is like what I've been missing. Also, fantasy tends to shock you in ways that like I don't see coming in thrillers or romances. I don't know what it is, but like because of certain magic systems and because you don't get to know certain people as well as you do other people, like it just does something extra that other books don't do. And because of that, I love fantasy. I have always loved fantasy. I just hadn't been reading as much of it like the past few years for whatever reason. Don't really want to talk about it. But now that I've read this one, I'm like, hello? Like something has reawakened inside of me. I'm reinvigorated to pick up all of the fantasy books on my shelves, and there are a lot. Thank you, Rebecca Yarros. If I can be back in my fantasy era again, whew, nobody talk to me. My confidence will be through the roof. I will be thinking I'm Violet Sorrengail or Selena Sardothian. Certified badass over here. Certified badass over here. Just don't even try to mess around with me. And lastly, I told you all at the beginning of this that I read my worst book of the year this month, and I did indeed read my worst book of the year this month. And it's a popular one. Ward D by Frida McFadden. I want to talk about this book once and then never talk about it again. Maybe in one of my end of the year videos, but other than that, I don't want to talk about this book because it just, listen, I know with most thrillers, you have to suspend your level of disbelief to an extent. Teenagers being involved in active cases for the FBI, I don't know. This though? This? No. Absolutely not. Straight up no. Per my own life experiences, and if you don't know, I'm sure you could figure it out, this would not happen. The explanations here, no. The epilogue was kind of like, okay, all right, I'm re-engaged, but we were at the very end of the book. Also, the epilogue was way too long. The epilogue, honestly, it was an epilogue. I just didn't like it. It wasn't for me. I found our main character so naive and honestly annoying. I gave this one a 2 stars. It's more like a 1.5, 1.2 of 5. It wasn't like offensive. It was just irritating. I was engaged in the beginning of the book, but by the middle and the end, I didn't care anymore. I could have put it down and just been like, okay, I don't care what happens. Honestly, they're probably all not going to be breathing by the end of this book. And okay, to me, this book was kind of dumb. Not my favorite. This is why I don't like talking about books that I don't like, because I just don't have anything kind to say. And like, I will say, it had short chapters. Great. That's about the only compliment that I can give this book. I enjoy a book with short chapters. Other than that, no thank you. I also don't think that I like isolated thrillers, which is just further proven in reading this book. So I am going to try more Frida McFadden because so many people love the Housemaid series by her, so I really want to give that one a try. This was just not for me though. I think The Housemaid I will enjoy more because we'll get to move around a little bit more. It's not just secured to like one hallway of a hospital type of thing. Not really my cup of tea. Not realistic, kind of annoying, super naive, dare I say boring. If you love this book, I am so sorry. I don't mean to offend you. I just really adamantly did not enjoy this one. I read it because one of my friends at work really enjoyed it, and to you, I am so sorry that I did not enjoy it. I wanted to love this one so bad, which just doubles down on the disappointment that I feel. I am willing to give Frida McFadden another try. I just don't think I will be reading another isolated thriller by her, or maybe ever again. Unfortunately, we did end off on a negative note, but I am very optimistic for the month of May. I am hoping that I can break my 6-book streak that we've got going on, because a third 6 in a row would just be really bad luck. If it's like getting close to the end of the month and I'm only at 5, we're stopping there because I just can't do triple 6s. I can't. That is it from me though, so let me know if you've read any of these books down in the comments below, or how your reading month went. I would love to hear. I love chatting with you guys, even if all you say is hi. If you have made it to this point in the video, go ahead and leave a mythical emoji. That is it. I love you all so much. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you're doing well, reading, mentally, and otherwise, and I really hope to see you all in my next video. very, very soon. Bye, guys.